So you've come here for the truth. Well, we've got the truth and nothing but the truth. Here are your hosts, Robert A. Bianchi and David J. Bruno.
Welcome to Nothing But the Truth on WMTR on Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. I am solo today. Dave Bruno here, your host, with our coach, Bill Hauser from the SMB Team. Welcome, Bill.
Man, I'm pumped, man. I'm ready to deliver. Let's do it.
I am pumped too, because I've been with Bill for over a year in his coaching program. And for all of you that know what we've done over the past year and a half through COVID, scaling, growing, adding to the team of former prosecutors, criminal defense, domestic violence, municipal court, you guys who know us best know what we've been through. And Bill has been there through it all to coach us on administration, on marketing, on mindset. So Bill, it's an extra special episode for us, and I appreciate your time in having you.
Man, I'm pumped about this. Let's get some other people to get the results you're getting, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the principles that Bill is going to talk about here are not for just lawyers. These are principles that can go across all industries and all takeaways. And I will promise you now that Bill Hauser will deliver, and he will deliver real life takeaways that you can apply to your lives and businesses. I promise you this. Bill, why don't you just fill us in? Who is Bill Hauser, and talk about the SMB team and what you guys have been doing?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way it really has nothing to do with me. It has to do more with life and kind of this obsession with what is a high performance life, right? If I were to die tomorrow, what would my internal compass read on my life? And that's kind of the phrase that in a million and one ways goes through my head every day. Sure.
But we're talking about purpose too, right? Why is Bill here? What's your purpose, Bill?
Yeah. So, for me, it's to inspire 1 billion people to reach their full potential through my actions, not my words, through my actions, by being a role model leader in my health, wealth, relationships, and fulfillment practices as a human being. So what that means is I live in a world where when you call me a coach, immediately it's funny because I don't actually refer to myself as a coach. I refer to myself as a practitioner that summarizes the lessons along my practitioner path, right? And that has been my journey for the last 5 years, is how rapidly can I learn something myself through action, not through reading books, right? Yes, I read a ton of books. Yes, I invest $600,000 in coaching, right, per year. But all of that doesn't matter if it doesn't produce an action. And then based on my actual purpose as a person, every action that I take and learn something from, my actual purpose is to summarize and distill down what I learned so that A, I can reflect on and learn from it, but more importantly, so that B, other people can learn from the battle scars.
Wow. Yeah, when you say that purpose that you have, it sounds like you've said it before. Is that something you do every day?
Yeah, every single day I write down my purpose. I write down my top goals, and then I write down 5 things I'm grateful for. Meditate every morning. I have a very specific morning routine, and for me, I was blessed with ADHD at a young age, and when I learned how to tap into that gift, I learned the power of goal setting. And when I saw what happened with my family, my dad went bankrupt in 2008 in the recession. I always remembered, and I'm close with my dad now, and I always remember he was very interested in the next thing. Like he was always pumped about, oh, we can get into this new line of business, or we can try this new thing, or we could try, to pursue this new idea. And I remember seeing that not work so well for him when I was younger. And all the other friends of mine who had very successful families, their parents were focused on one thing fully executed, taken completely through to completion, right? Yeah. So when I kind of was able to observe this from a young age, I kind of took that lesson of, let's maniacally focus on one thing in business. Let's maniacally focus on one thing in health. Let's maniacally focus on one thing in relationships. And let's not move on to that second thing until it's fully finished, right? And then the second component of that is, what are your strengths, right? So it's one thing to say, well, okay, Bill, my one thing is I want to be an astronaut. Okay, well, if you don't have any data, skills, strengths, show me some evidence, right? That, this is nothing but the truth, right? So show me some evidence that being an astronaut makes sense based on who you are as a person, right? Then I'll go, okay, maybe that's your one thing. But I think so many people struggle when it comes to dialing in their lives or their businesses because they're distracted. So long story short, my solution to that is every time I feel like I'm getting distracted, overwhelmed, lost, I'm not fully dialed in. It happens all the time. I pull out a pencil and I write down my goals. And I do that in the morning because if I don't get to it during the day, at least I did it one time.
Every morning.
Yep. Every single morning.
And I know the answer to this because I follow Bill on social media and he does this publicly. Literally, if anyone follows Bill, and I would suggest everyone does on all of his platforms, you will see what he does every single morning, and it is one example to follow, right? So tell us what that morning routine is from start to finish before you even start the workday.
Yeah. So for me, the first thing I do is before I get out of bed, I smile. So I'm laying in bed. The first step of my morning routine is I move my cheeks upward, even if it's fake at first, to trigger a gratitude response, right? So that is number one, is smile, right? Sometimes it's fake. And then after I smile and I really squint between my eyes, then it becomes a real smile. And I try not to get out of bed until I have a real quick trigger of gratitude, which takes usually 30 seconds. Then this is how specific I am, right? Yeah. I found I don't get out of bed when I'm sleepy because of one thing. I don't lift my leg over the side of the bed, right? So literally the next step after smiling is move leg over the side of the bed, right? Touch foot on the ground and stand up, right? Don't push the snooze, right? So that is so important. What is one habit you can commit to never press the snooze button ever again in your life, right? Yeah. Because that sleep-wake rhythm is so vitally important to a human being. Waking up at the same time and going to sleep at the same time. Right after that, I go over to a blue light, which is a Philips blue light. And it simulates the effect that sunlight has on the human brain. What's really interesting, since I wake up on average anywhere between 3:30 to 4:30, depending on when I choose with my alarm, it's always dark every morning. While the time may vary, it's usually always dark. So what happens is your brain, it wakes up more with blue light than it would with just being in a dark house with LED lights lit in your kitchen or something. So you need something to really wake up your brain, right? Vern Harnish calls it lighting up the Christmas tree, right? Which is your cerebral cortex. And then you can feel a lot more alert. So I use a blue light. I have 1 cup of coffee. I fill up a very large half-gallon vat of water, which I usually drink the entire thing before 9 a.m. And I write down my 5 gratitudes, all of my goals, and then my purpose statement. Then right after I do that, I usually pace through the kitchen and I state my Think and Grow Rich major definite purpose statement. After I state that statement out loud, I film it. Then I typically will meditate. And so mindfulness, if there's one thing in this entire string of stuff that's most important, like if I miss something ever, which has happened before, there's one pillar. It's I gotta still meditate. And so mindfulness for me is I usually pick up a book like The Power of Now, or A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, which is on mindfulness. I'll read that for 5 or 10 minutes just to get into the thinking zone of, mindfulness. And then I'll meditate for between 12 to 20 minutes. And meditation to me is just allowing thoughts to appear, allowing sensations and feelings to appear and not judging them. I used to think meditation was changing your thoughts, right? But I was wrong, and it took me years to learn that lesson. So my goal is to just become aware of my thoughts, not judge them, and be cool with them. And it's very fascinating. Most times when I'm in a negative mood, if I identify what thought is attached to this negative mood, it immediately, the negative mood floats away. If I just become attached to what belief, what thought, for example, we have this huge event coming up with Gary Vaynerchuk and James Clear, Michael Gerber, and I am scared right now. Last week, we spent $58,000 on advertisements. We're probably over $400,000 in the hole for this event right now. That's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
That pressure materialized actually last night going into this morning. I didn't feel too good in the morning. So I went on a walk. I listened to mindfulness tape, and I tried to see, what am I afraid? What's causing this emotion? And I quickly identified, oh, wow. There's anxiety around this upcoming event that's causing me to be in a negative mood, right? And when you're in a negative mood, you start painting a lot of other things as negative. So if I can identify the source, step back from it, not judge it, and be cool with it, then the body calms down, right? So if there was one thing, if someone were to say, like, how were you able to grow your business so rapidly? It's a combination of two things: goal setting and mindfulness. Militant levels of conviction around where we're going, but the self-humility and humility towards others to know that I am not perfect as a person. I struggle with anxiety. I struggle with doubt. I struggle with fear, just like everyone else. I just identify it faster, and I take action through it as fast as I can. And that self-humility carries across to individual interactions with my team, with people who are in my coaching programs or watch our events. There's an underlying sense of self-awareness that I've had to work really, really, really hard on. So that was a tangent, but that's mindfulness.
No, right on point, Phil. Not a tangent whatsoever.
Yeah. So high intensity interval training after that. So that's getting that heart rate up big time, burning like 600 plus calories, no dabbling, not going into the gym and pretending to lift weights, like dripping sweat, working every single muscle group. Right. And then after that, it's just, essentially just getting ready. But I've tested everything, and that's what I landed on.
Awesome. We're coming up to a commercial break right now, but certain real life takeaways from Bill Hauser, our coach, who has taught us how to scale. And it is such a pleasure. On the other side of the break, let's get into some of these books that you have learned and taught us, and some of the books that I have had the pleasure of reading because of you. All right, so WMTR, it's nothing but the truth. We'll see you after the commercial break.
At the Bianchi Law Group, our team of former prosecutors and certified criminal trial attorneys specialize in criminal defense and domestic violence cases. When you need a law firm with courage, compassion, and the commitment to fight for you, call the Bianchi Law Group today.
Welcome to Nothing But the Truth on WMTR. I am proud to say we have Bill Hauser here from SMB, and he is one of our coaches, and we're just continuing the conversation. And look, in the beginning, your last segment, you're talking about the morning routine. And you also talked about the coaches that you have, the books that you have. And I think, Bill, that's what makes you who you are, and why I look up to the teachings, is that you're doing it yourself. You're actually growing your business as you're teaching us to grow ours. And some of the books that you give, I just want to highlight. And the first one is Think and Grow Rich. All right. So when I show you Think and Grow Rich, what is the one or two takeaways that you deliver from this book?
Well, I mean, if there was one book, if I was not able to read any other books for the rest of my life, that would be the one book I would be happily okay with just rereading for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Because I think it has all the answers. If you have the big takeaway from that book is if you are clear on your purpose, your major definite purpose, you understand the power of having a mastermind group around you and tapping into other people's wisdom, and you are persistent enough to never give up and to actually mean what you say as goals, the universe is going to listen, right? It's more than the law of attraction. It's the law of action, the law of belief, the law of like saying anything is going to get done and then actually making it get done.
Love it. Love it. I mean, my two, I would say, is having a burning desire, almost searing those goals in your mind to accomplish what you want done. And that leads me to the story that he tells about burning the ships, right? Burning the ships, because oftentimes we are planning and planning and planning. And I send out quotes often on my Instagram and social media platforms. And if you wait until you're ready, it's never going to happen, right? Burning the ships is going after it and just making it happen sometimes when you're not ready, right?
Oh, always. If you should never be ready, right? I mean, that's my belief. If you feel ready before you're doing something, like, I mean, you're just not moving quick enough.
Took too long to get there, right? So sometimes in these cases that we have, these restraining order cases that we do, they're hurry up and go. The scope is so long, and I tell my attorneys, you're never going to feel ready. There's always more work, but you know what? The other side, I guarantee they don't put the work in. They're not having the work ethic and discipline that this team has. You know, so it even applies to our law practice at times. Traction, right? If you could have the goals and you could know where you want to go, but I think this is the roadmap. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, the book Traction is geared for business owners who want to advance their businesses at, I'd say, above a 50% growth rate per year. That's why there's so many lessons. If you don't run a business and you're listening to this, there's so many lessons in just Think and Grow Rich and Traction that you can apply to life. I mean, it's really insane. The book Traction it teaches you the how, just enough of the how of turning a vision into reality. It's everything that happens between having a clear vision and actually making it into reality from a procedural standpoint. I think the takeaway of Traction for, whether you run a business or not, the takeaway of Traction is it's not enough to have a vision of where you want to go in your life. You have to seek out an actual playbook of sorts to help you get there. And for business owners looking to grow, Traction is that playbook in a lot of ways. But if you're looking to, start a new business, like, a food truck business or some hairdresser, a hair cuttery or something, who is going to give you the blueprint for turning your vision into reality? And I think that's one of the highest value things to find is that blueprint for whatever your vision is, whether it's in health, relationships, or business.
Yeah, and we could relate too, because before COVID, I mean, we didn't have a business plan. We didn't have a marketing plan. We didn't use key performance indicators or analytics. I mean, we were swimming around practically with no guidance whatsoever. And I think that's what Traction brought most to the Bianchi Law Group. Through you and your coaching program is setting quarterly goals, and boulders so that you're aligned, that you're clear as to what is going to take place over the quarter. And then finally, I think the thing that is like our secret sauce here at the Bianchi Law Group are the meetings. And we have a morning meeting that is different than a lot of other businesses, but we call our morning meeting a huddle. And in the huddle, we have our entire team that includes all of our former prosecutors, our support staff, former law enforcement, talking about our clients' cases. And that delivers value for our clients to have different perspectives and feedback. And we call it CLE, continuing legal education for our lawyers, because literally there are takeaways every single morning about law, substance, procedure, evidence, etc. So that's what I attribute traction to as to what it brought to the Bianchi Law Group through your program.
Yeah, big time.
How about who, not how?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that it ties into all of this filters up to Think and Grow Rich. In my viewpoint, who, not how is the power of the mastermind principle. It's the belief that if you want, most people, when they want to reach a goal, they ask themselves, how am I going to reach this goal? So for example, if you've been overweight for your entire life and you finally make the commitment, I'm going to take my life to the next level. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to transform my body, right? And it hasn't worked all the way up to this point. Well, it's because you've been lying to yourself, trying to figure out the how. You've been diving into all these different exercise plans. You've been diving into all these tactics. And the truth is, you don't know what's best for you because you're not an expert in diet and exercise. So who, not how is, instead of you trying to figure out all the hows for whatever you want to do in your life, find the who. Find the person who can just force feed you. And what's more importantly than force feeding is the accountability side, right? So for example, my who for health is Greg, my diet coach, who every single day, I'll show you actually in my phone, every single day I have to send him a picture of my screenshot of what I ate yesterday. Okay, so that was from today, 6:08 a.m. I sent him a screenshot of my MyFitnessPal tracked calories for Monday. No explanation. I don't need to explain. My actions should explain. My log should explain. I don't need to explain anything, right? He holds me accountable. That's a who. Okay, another who is my group fitness classes that I do. I don't have to come up with workout plans. I have a coach hold me accountable when I work out and a group of 15 people that all push each other during the workouts. So there's this effect that they found in psychology called the group accountability effect. You are over 80% more likely to reach your goals if you tap into what's called the group accountability effect. It's a feeling where instead of you battling all alone to reach your goals, you tap into the most powerful process in our brain from prehistoric times, and that is the power of a social group that propels towards your goals, right? And that's another example of who. So anytime there's a problem in your life, I'm overweight, my business isn't growing the way it should be, I'm struggling with X, I'm blah, 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 blah. Always ask yourself, oh, wait a second, I'm getting trapped up in the how. Who else can I find to help me reach this goal?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And it's building the team. It's putting the right people in the right seats, right? Like, for example, when I started the Bianchi Law Group, I built our first website. Yes, Dave Bruno, former prosecutor, homicide prosecutor, was building the first website. And that's just an example right there, is that it must have taken me, I would say maybe 50 hours at least to try to learn HTML and then get into WordPress and then get the plugins, etc. right? And that's just an example that I am a lawyer. I should be doing lawyerly things. I shouldn't be learning how to build websites.
Yeah. I mean, and you're going to just scare away every talented person around you. I mean, if you're the only person that can do everything, it's a surefire way to just scare away talented people or passionate people. Like, I go around my office now, you know, we're passing 40 full-time people right now. And like, my highest value task is partially just making sure people know what they're responsible for.
You also said accountability, and I think that's clear too. When you're building out the team, you have to have clear instructions so that they know exactly what it is, and it gets into the EOPs and the SOPs and procedures so that your team members know exactly what they're doing. And then also you have to attach indicators, key performance indicators to that so that you could measure those things.
So KPIs, I mean, if you think about it, this applies to any goal, not just business. It applies to any goal.
Right.
A KPI stands for a key performance indicator. Key, which means it's an important number. Performance means there's some output occurring with this tracked thing, right? And an indicator means it gives you an indication of whether you're on track or off track for your goal. So let's do a quick example. A marathon runner, for example. A marathon runner no marathon runner in their right mind would just run, and track nothing in the Olympics. The best marathon runners, they have tracking metrics everywhere on them, and it all comes on their watch. They're able to monitor their heart rate variability. They're able to monitor their times and how that's pacing up to the end goal and their marks, right? So when it says hit your marks, if you've ever heard that saying before, like hit your marks, that actually comes from long distance running. You have to hit your marks, meaning the milestones on a really long race, in order to finish the race within the time frame you wanted to. So tracking numbers on your path to success is the best way to fight delusion, right? So many people say, I want to be a millionaire. I want to turn my life around. I want to become the next blah, 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 blah. And then they just bank on that vague motivation. And then they wake up 3 years later and they're completely off track from where they should have been because they didn't have checkpoints along the way.
Yeah, absolutely right. It gets to setting those goals and making sure they're measurable so that you could actually track them in a way that gets you on track. You know, Bill, unfortunately, we're out of time. And the next side of the break, we're going to be talking with Bob Bianchi and just talking more about some of these principles. But I'm going to tell everybody that's listening on the radio, Bill and I are going to do one extra special video that's only going to be available on the landing page, nothingbuttetruthpodcast.com. And Bill, I thank you for being here and everything you do for the Bianchi Law Group. Where do people find you if they want to learn more about you and your business?
So if you want me to wake you up in the morning, then go to Bill Hauser Biz, B-I-Z, that's B-I-L-L, Hauser, H-A-U-S-E-R, Biz, B-I-Z on Instagram. And I'll make sure that you're waking up early and writing down your goals.
All right, Bill, listen, I appreciate all your time, all the real life hacks and all the things that you've taught us through the program and through the books and today on Nothing But the Truth. We're signing off. If you guys want to watch the episode, you want to download the podcast, everything is on the webpage at nothingbuttetruthpodcast.com. Coming to you from WMTR, Nothing But the Truth. I am your host, Dave Bruno, signing off with Bill Hauser. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
We're the Bianchi Law Group, a team of former prosecutors and certified criminal trial attorneys.
But here's the thing. He put himself in a box when he said...
Relied on by CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, Law and Crime, and news leaders across the country for our criminal defense expertise.
In a search warrant, you have to have probable cause that a crime's been committed and there's evidence in a particular place.
When you need a law firm with courage, compassion, and the commitment to fight for you. Call the Bianchi Law Group today.